Hello everyone and welcome to Slipjoint Sawyer. Today we were doing the monthly EDC pocket dump, so this is what I've carried for the last sort of couple of weeks to a month or so. And actually this is probably one of the months I've carried the sort of the least variation of knives, mainly due to the property move I've just gone through, so I only had a couple out with me. The rest were all sort of packed away, and I've been doing a lot of work around the property, building work, woodworking sort of stuff, so I've needed specific knives for certain tasks, so that's sort of changed my carry a bit this month. But I thought we'd go through everything I've carried, what I've enjoyed, the bits that have stayed, the bits that I might not carry again, and we'll just sort of see how we go. But we'll start off with the keys, and then most days when I'm leaving the property, car keys. This has the mini champ on it, which I put the New Zealand scales on, and a key ring I picked up while I was there as well. Nothing exciting about that. House keys, pretty much identical, just different keys for different property. Olight IR2 Pro, the little rechargeable one that you just sort of turn to light up. I'm not going to do that on camera in case anything happens, but so you've got the USB-C in there. Let's put it on one mode just so you can see, but it does turn on more and gets a bit brighter. Keys. The Awanata is another mainstay. That's been on my keys for months and it takes a beating. And I've got no intention of taking it off because I think it's a fantastic knife and it holds an edge fantastically well. Jet Setter then, that's only on there so I can have the combo tool and a small pair of scissors on my keys, as well as the toothpick and tweezers, which I find very, very useful indeed. Damn Designs bead from Eric Starr. Behind that, I'm carrying a bandage today because I decided to cut myself while sharpening, but I'm not a brilliant man. And this is by Paracordia UK, Steve over there. He made these. This one was gifted to me by Dan at Blade Bridge Customs, but I think this is really cool, especially when we just had Halloween, had this sort of pumpkin with like the orange accents on the paracord, which is cool. Anything else on here that's new? Not particularly. That's pretty much it for my keys. Let's look at some different stuff I've carried before we go any further. So I've carried this nearly every day the last sort of few weeks. This is the Swiss tool by Victorinox. Obviously, as I mentioned, doing a lot of property work, outdoors, tearing down things that need to be sort of restored, or just sort of undecorating rooms, with the lack of a better word, you know, stripping them back to bare, taking nails out, things like that. I've been using these a hell of a lot, and they go on my belt with the belt pouch, and it just makes them fantastic. But there's a great selection of tools, and what I like about them as well is you don't have to open the pliers to get the tools out. You can get them all out on the back like this. And the serrated spear blade is one of the ones I've used the most, especially for opening packages, boxes, cutting wires, things like that. That's been perfect for that. So that's the Swiss tool from Victorinox. As well as doing more of the outdoor work, I actually carried a fixed blade quite a lot when I've been around the property, and this is one of the few that I have, and this is the Buck 662, which is the Alpha Pro Scout, and it comes in the Brilliant Dynalux walnut covers. See those on there, they're absolutely beautiful, and this knife, fixed blade, honestly is perfect for me. It's a perfect size. I've not got the largest hands, maybe the medium size hand, but it's so ergonomic, this knife, and with the jimping up here and the jimping down the blade, you can really choke up on this thing, do any sort of cutting tasks like that without having to worry that you're going to slip off the blade. And that massive finger troll there as well makes it really comfortable. A huge fan of this knife, and it has the S35VN Boss heated steel on it as well. Comes with a wicked sharp edge. I've not sharpened this yet. Could probably do with a strop because it's had a lot of use, but got a lot of life yet before it needs a sharpen, and I put a little leather lanyard on there to make it a bit easier to pull out of the sheath. Now, the only complaint I've got about this is there's no lining inside, so you can sort of cut up the sheath a bit, which I've done down here, but as long as you're careful, it's not a problem at all. Just push it in towards the top up here, and then you'll miss that. And of course you have the little buckle on there holding it on. But yeah, Buck 662, quite expensive. I think it was $150, something like that, but for me, it's worth it. I'm not going to buy a whole lot of fixed blades. I've got maybe 3 that I would actually carry. And this is the one that's pretty much lived in on my hip sort of the last couple of weeks. Modern I've actually carried a lot. Same for the property move. When I've changed it out from using either of these two, I've gone for the PM3. So Spyderco, it's got the CTS BD1N steel. This was a gift from Mikey Newman, so thank you, Mikey. You can see I've battered it. The blade's all scratched up. I've reprofiled it and sharpened it again, but you can see the use this thing's had. And I put a little leather lanyard on there with a bullet casing down there, just something. And I did get a sort of I got this off eBay. It's obviously not a Lynch clip, but it's designed to be one, if that makes sense. It fits the standard channels, and it makes it a deep carry clip, and I actually prefer this clip to the wire one. The wire one kind of annoys me a little bit. These ones are much better. Of course, this is the compression lock, and it has excellent action. That's the PM3. Let's take a look at some Swiss Army knives I've carried. So where are we? This is a complete custom that Dan made for me, blade bridge. I went for plus micarta scales on this 84mm frame, black micarta. We've got carbon fiber outer liners with a brass one running through the middle. We have the old style corkscrew on there. And all I wanted was a Swiss Army knife with the only tools that I would really ever need on a Swiss Army knife. So I got the small file, the main blade, Dan's logo on the back there as well. It'll focus. There we go. And the 84mm scissors. So kind of like an 84mm compact, apart from having the file inside the channels rather than on the back of the hook. But of course there'd be no hook on the 84mm scissors just before their time. But yeah, big fan of this knife. This one spends a lot of time in my pocket. It's probably my second favourite one at the moment. Of course, I'm carrying this with a little pocket dangler, and I put these little lanyards at the top here so I can just pull this and it comes out of the pocket easily. But that's sort of a custom 84mm. I've not sort of named it or anything yet. I've been trying to think of a name for that sort of style, but I'm not entirely sure. Another one is actually a custom one again that Dan made for the Sharp Show. These are the Slipjoint Sawyer and Blade Bridge collaboration Swiss Army knives. Some of these are 84, some are 91. This happens to be an 84, and this is a small tinker, but instead of a pen blade, he's added a file because he knows how much I prefer the file to have much other tools. But this has copper liners. This is kieranite scales that Dan has hand pinned and peened, and the amount of work that he put into doing these is absolutely phenomenal. But you get the can opener, the cap lifter, the file at the back, and you get the main blade in there as well. So we have Dan's logo on the front here, and on the back he had my logos laser etched in there as well. Now I believe there's a couple of these left on Dan's website, bladebridge.co.uk, so if you want to pick one up, I'd get one quickly because there's not going to be many of these left. And you can see you've got the punch or awl on the back, and then the Phillips screwdriver on there as well. Obviously no toothpick or tweezers because it's modified kieranite scales, but they are wonderfully smooth, and the light here is not doing this justice. You can see the colours moving, but outside in the natural light, these are ridiculously beautiful. You did a fantastic job with these. This one is one I've carried most days, but I've recently changed it up. So I did have the micarta covers on here, plus micarta, but Judd's recently sent me a gift of an Explorer, which had these really wonderful green jelly scales on. I think they're emerald, I think they're called, and I couldn't sort of help myself. They went straight onto the brass companion. I mean, look how good that looks on there. Green lanyard on there as well. Green external tools. I just wish they'd make the pen with green on the end or black on the end instead of the grey. But we've all seen this countless times before. It's the one with the laser engraved main blade. Obviously the compact has the package opener. I have the cap lifter, scissors, and then you also get the nail file on the back as well, with the corkscrew, the hook, and the awl on the back there too. Of course, plus scales, you get the pen, and there's a pin down in the pinhole down here as well. But yeah, this is hard to leave my pocket. Honestly, it's been there for maybe the last 2 weeks straight. It's just such a fantastic carry, the companion. Onto some of the final. Let's take a look at the 2 slips I've carried, and I've been very sort of not picky with the slips I've carried, but I didn't want to have a load out while I was sort of moving, so I went for 2. This is the Beard and Owl slip. This is in the fabric, and I have a brass pen in this one. So it's just like a 2 slot, so you carry a slip joint and a pen. And I've also had this one. This is the Shire Supply. Now this did have a big tab at the back here, but I cut that off to match the front, as I made it into more of a pinch slip with an Olight mini pen in there. And this slip is great for things, for example, like the Rosecraft blade Stink Creek sow belly, which is pretty much what I've had in there. So yeah, Shire Supply, great leather work. Beard and Owl, really, really great sort of stitching and fabric work for slips. But while we're on it, the Rosecraft blades Stinking Creek sow belly is one that's been abused this whole time I've been moving. If it's not been in my pocket, my father's been using it, my mother's been using it. It's a fantastic knife, and the edge lasted so well. Only very recently did I have to sort of reprofile this. Ended up cutting up a load of carpet, and it was still sharp, but not sharp to the point where you could slice through paper, but you could cut through anything else fine. But I just stropped it back up, and absolutely fantastic. But this has black sandalwood, phenomenal wood covers, great in the hand, excellent fit and finish as you expect from Rosecraft. Probably their favourite knife they've made to date for me, the sow belly. So no surprise really, any of you that are familiar with my channel. But that's a brilliant one, love that knife. 2 left, both are British, both are by different makers, one's new, one's old. This is the Wolstenholme, or Wolstenholme, sorry, say that right because I really butcher the name every time, George Wolstenholme IXL electrician's knife. This is in the wooden covers, oil the joints, main spear blade, and then you get the electrician's tool with the file on the back as well. And this was in my video last month, my most carried gear, and this just says how good this knife is, that I've been carrying it pretty much religiously a few times a week for nearly 2 months now. It's phenomenal. The action on it's great. The blade keeps an edge for a pretty decent amount of time. You can strop it up easily. And I just think it's just a beautiful piece of history. Phenomenal fit and finish, like the tiniest of gaps here, but for the age of the knife, I'm not going to be complaining. Fantastic knife. And then this one as well has been in my pocket for a lot of time this month, is Ashley Harrison Custom Spearpoint Barlow. Now this went up for sale on his Instagram, and this is Koa wood, and I could not say no when I saw it. That wood, if I can get it to ever focus, really moves in the light. Yeah, you can see the colour getting light here, and you turn it and it goes to dark. It's beautiful, this thing. Wonderfully worked back spring all the way around. You've got coined liners, so by that I mean it looks like the edge of a coin, where you see you got the lines going all the way down the liners, all the way around, and it stops at the bolster. But wonderful spear point, 01 tool steel, Ashley Harrison's maker's mark on there as well. This one's had a lot of use, and to be honest, I've stropped it once, maybe in the month I've had it. The 01 tool steel that Ashley uses is fantastic. Overall, really impressed with the sort of gear I've carried this last sort of month. The only other thing I've really carried on and off is a flashlight, and that's mainly for just walking the dog at night. And this is one picked up recently. This is the Baton Turbo from Olight. Super bright. It's good for looking long distance, so when Buster runs off into the dark and I've got to go find him again. But yeah, wonderful magnetic charger. It's got the power functions on there, so if you press it, so you've got the 4 battery, and then this is on the 2nd brightness, and then it just goes off like that. But yeah, that's a really good bit of kit as well. But there we go, guys. That's my EDC pocket dump for the last month, so November 24. I really hope you enjoyed this. Please be sure to like, subscribe, and ring that bell for notifications, and I'll catch you in the next one. Peace out.